Barbara Hammer, and this is my story. I come from Folkestone, I was born here, and when I was 15, I left school and got a job in Woolworths. As I was walking to work one morning along Ford Road, I saw this young man coming towards me on a bicycle, and I thought, oh, he's nice. But he carried on going. The next day I was walking to work, and he came along again, and I thought the same thing, till eventually he used to smile, and then one morning he gave me a little wave, and then it all happened, and we met up and started chatting, and we started going out with each other. In the meantime, I met a lady in Woolworths. Her name was Kath. And when I went to work one day, I said to her, she said to me, there's something wrong, isn't there? And I said, yes, I'm pregnant. I was 18. I was terrified to tell my parents, and she was so kind to me and helped me all she could. Anyway, we had to look for a flat, and after going through a lot of trauma with, shall I get an abortion? My mum and dad didn't want me to have the baby. Shall we get it adopted? Let's send her away to an unmarried mother's home. But Otto and I were determined we wanted to keep the baby. Obviously lots of people have been in my situation, but maybe they wasn't so lucky to have a lovely lady that took them under their wing like I was. Anyway, we had to get a flat, and we did. And with the help of this lady, we didn't have anything, absolutely nothing at all. Not a tea towel. She gave us one of everything. Well, 2, 3, 4 tea towels, knives, forks, spoons. She gave us a red sofa, red curtains, and a red standard lamp. All those things she gave us, and she even got a van to bring them to the flat. So we moved into this little flat up Bruvy Road West, where there was 2 ladies that lived underneath us, and they were called Violet and Nora. And my husband, we'd got married by then, my husband Otto used to go off to work, and this little one of the ladies used to come out and call me and say, Cooey, I want to talk to you about Jesus. And I thought, oh no. But anyway, I was polite to her, so I listened to her stories about Jesus. And I used to say thank you to her. So I'd encouraged her, really. So she kept on every day. Cooey, thought we'd have a little chat about Jesus. Well, my husband then got to know this lady was coming out every day, and he would come home from work at night and say to me, have you seen Cooey today? Which was hilarious for us. And we very naughtily nicknamed her Cooey. Well, her friend, Nora, worked down Bouget's in a bun shop, a cake shop. And she used to bring us home these big cakes, fresh filled cakes, and they were lovely. And my husband used to go to work with these fresh big cakes. And one day, this chap that had lent my husband some money to get himself into a self-build scheme said to my husband, excuse me, mate, but how can you afford all those cakes? He said, oh, there's these 2 old women that live below us at the flat. He said, and they talk about Jesus to my wife all the time. And they give us cakes. The baby was due, and I had a little girl. And Violet and Nora used to love the little girl and chat to her and said, we're going to pray for her, we're going to pray for you. And eventually, after 18 months, we left the flat. So we then moved to a house up Downs Road, which was a self-build scheme. And it was there that, sweeping my drive one morning, I met this girl called Lindsay. And we started to chat. By then, I had 3 children. She'd just given birth to her 3rd. And we got friends, and we used to have a coffee together. And one day she said to me that her nana died. And she said, do you believe in heaven? Do you believe there's a God? Do you believe in Jesus? And I said, well, it's funny, because as it happens, I know a bit about Jesus. So she said, what do you mean, what do you know? I said, so I told her about Violet and Nora that spoke to me about Jesus. I said, and they go to the church down Ford Road. So she said, oh, perhaps we could learn a bit more then. I said, maybe. She said, shall we go? So I said, okay then. So off we trotted down to the church. Used to smoke, not when I was pregnant, but we used to have a cigarette occasionally, and we had a cigarette to pluck up nerves to go in there. And this look on this Violet and Nora's face was a picture when they saw us walk in. They were over the moon, but everybody that was in there was really, really elderly. So we felt a bit out of place. And, you know, we had mini skirts on and, you know, it wasn't the thing really to go into church like that, but we did. And they accepted us exactly as we was. Like, nobody said anything, nobody judged us. And we went back. Quite a few times we went back. And Mr. Watmore was the pastor there. And it was after some time of going there that he gave an altar call. And I had no idea that Lindsay felt the same as I did. But I actually felt very, very emotional. Very emotional. And I just felt I needed to go up there and say, thank you, God, for these ladies that have brought me here. And there and then, and when I looked round, Lindsay was behind me. And we both that day together gave our hearts to God, which was a lovely moment, absolutely lovely moment. And I think it was about after 9 months or a year, we asked Mr. Watmore if we could be baptised. And he said, yes, you could. We haven't got a baptismal pool here, but we've got one in Maidstone. So it was arranged that they would take the minibus and we'd go to Maidstone. So I went home, and as did Lindsay, told our husbands we were going to get baptised. And I asked my husband if he would come with me, and he said no. He wasn't a Christian, so he didn't come. Lindsay's husband didn't come either. But we still had a lovely time. It was really nice. And yeah, we both got baptised. And then there came a time when the church said we were moving to Harvey Street. Lindsay and I weren't happy because that was our church. You know, we just felt very, very close to the church and close to God there, and we didn't think we'd get that in Harvey Street. But eventually, we all went to Harvey Street. And on the first Sunday, I walked in Harvey Street Church. I saw a lady sitting over on the left-hand side. And I looked again, and I thought, I know that lady. And afterwards, after church, I went over to her and I said to her, hello, I think your name's Kath. She said, it is. And she went, Barbara? And we hugged. And I had no idea that all those years ago, she was a Christian lady that loved Jesus. And God was in all that. God was there in that moment that she took me under her wing. God sent her. And when she passed away, I was asked if I would speak at her funeral, which I did, and I told of the wonderful thing that she did for me. And after the service, her son came up to me, her only son, and he said, did my mum really do that? I said, yes. He said, she never ever told me. She didn't boast about it. She didn't tell anybody about it. She was just a lovely Christian lady that wanted to help an 18-year-old girl that was in distress, pregnant, didn't know which way to turn. And I thank God for that lady that he put in my life. I really thank God for that lady. And I thank God for Violet and Nora, because God put them in my life too. So times were very difficult when I became a Christian at first with my husband, because he wasn't a Christian. And I wanted to sing Christian songs, and I used to put my little old cassette player on and put all the old Jesus songs on, and What a Friend We Have in Jesus, and all the rest of them. And if I didn't know he'd pulled up and was coming down the drive, he would come in and he would immediately press stop on the cassette player. And eventually I got to know when he pulled up, and I used to stop it myself so that I didn't annoy him. Things carried on. I used to go to church. Do you want to come to church? No. But eventually, he used to come and help at the fun days, and met a few of the Christians at church and got to know them, got to like them, and things were going well. And one day he said to me, I feel like I need to change my life. I need to do something. I want what you got. I want the peace that you've got. And eventually he too, at Harbour Church, gave his life to Jesus. He too, we went out to for a day out, and we was eating fish and chips with Lindsay and her husband George. And he said, I want to be baptised. And it was a Good Friday. And we said, well, he said, now I want to be baptised. So he phoned Sarah Webber and he said, Sarah, I want to be baptised. She said, well, you know we've got a baptism service on Sunday. He said, yes, I know, and I want to be baptised. On that Sunday, he was baptised. Gareth baptised him, and Aaron. And he came out of the water to the words, how great thou art. And we was all singing, how great thou art. Yeah, my husband Otto was diagnosed with cancer when he was 63. He survived for 5 years and died when he was 67. But whilst we were at the hospice, we used to talk a lot, read the Bible a lot, pray a lot. And he said to me one day, I don't think I've ever really apologised for what I did to you. I said, well, what have you done to me? He said, when I think how I came in from work, a non-Christian, and banged the CD off, the cassette player off, it upsets me to think that I did that to you. And he said, I want to apologise for doing that to you. And he said, and another thing, I should have come to your baptism. You supported me through mine, and I should have been there for yours. But of course he wasn't a Christian, so he didn't really understand and he didn't know. So we both, before he died, we made our peace with all the problems, because everybody has ups and downs during their marriage, as we certainly did. But before he passed away, we both made peace with each other, and everything was wonderful. And I pray that all my children will come to know Jesus. He loves us all. He loves us, and he just wants what's best for us. And that's what I want for my children. And I hope anybody that's watching this can just see that although you can be a 16, 17, 18-year-old girl pregnant, things can turn out. But the best thing you can do is turn to God.